Get your fix.
Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix?
With the Wicks here on this beautiful Tuesday, March 29th, 2022, and welcome to the show, whether that be on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, do me a favor, hit the like and the share. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe. It'd be much appreciated. Obviously, the same spiel as always. The NFL has been kind of dying down as of recent. Not a lot of news has been popping off. Basically, the only news that we've been waiting for quite some time is what is going to happen with the overtime rules. Well, that has officially been changed. We'll dive into that in just a few moments. The Saints land a backup quarterback in Andy Dalton, formerly a Cincinnati Bengal, then a Dallas Cowboy, and then a Chicago Bear, which he spent last year with that team. So he's now a Saint. Cam Newton might be drawing some interest. We'll talk about that as well. And then the Jimmy G situation, there's some things kind of going on there. I'm not really sure what to, expect from the situation, but at the same time, it's some interesting news to kind of bring towards your guys' attention. The Patriots landed a safety who is formerly a New York Giant, if you will. So they got him. And then the Rams, they extended their head coach, John Harbaugh. But what does that mean for quarterback Lamar Jackson? That will be also getting to be talked about, all right? So let's get to it. Are you ready to get your fix? We're starting right off the bat with the New Orleans Saints. They go out earlier last week, I believe it was, signing Jameis Winston to a 2-year, you could say it was a contract extension, but it really wasn't. He was a free agent, so they signed him to a 2-year deal. They locked up their starting quarterback. Now, they were in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Who was going to get Deshaun Watson? It was between 4 teams: the Carolina Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons, who were last-minute contenders because Deshaun Watson reached out to them, said, hey, I would like to see what you guys have to offer me. I'm from Georgia. I would love to be an Atlanta Falcon at some point in my career. Maybe not now. The Cleveland Browns were also one of the teams that were in that sweepstakes, as well as the New Orleans Saints. Well, the Cleveland Browns ended up landing Deshaun Watson on a 5-year, $230 million, fully guaranteed contract. The Ravens general manager actually had a few interesting words to say about that contract. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. But the Saints lock up their starting quarterback, Jameis Winston. I kind of figured that this was going to be the move, especially after the Deshaun Watson situation was figured out. There was a lot of speculation that, maybe the Saints go get Baker Mayfield now that Deshaun is a Cleveland Brown. Maybe the Saints go out and they trade for Jimmy Garappolo. That's a very real possibility. Or they just go looking at the other free agents. Well, I had a feeling that Jameis Winston was going to stay their quarterback and continue to be their quarterback after starting the season 5-3 for the New Orleans Saints last year until he got hurt on, I think it was Halloween weekend or something like that. He ends up tearing his ACL, and that whole ordeal kind of went downhill from there. So the Saints, they might be back, but they land quarterback Andy Dalton to a 1-year, $6 million deal. Now, obviously, those incentives are included in that $6 million. He gets about $3.5 million or $3 million guaranteed for this contract. That is big news. Now, what does this mean for Taysom Hill? All right, if you don't remember, I believe it was last year or 2 years ago, it might have been 2 off seasons ago or something like that, that Taysom Hill signed a massive 4-year, $160 million contract where all the years were voidable. And basically what that contract was telling us was hey, he's just going to be an experiment at quarterback. Okay, this money really doesn't mean anything. This contract doesn't mean anything for him because then in the future, if the quarterback situation doesn't work out, we could, rework his contract, if you will. So Taysom Hill, it has been brought to not only my attention, but probably your guys' attention as well throughout at least the last 24 hours, that he is going to be solely focusing on being a tight end. That is correct. Now, this guy, he was a quarterback in college, came into the National Football League. I believe he played for the Green Bay Packers for a year. Okay, I think he was a practice squad player. Maybe he was a bench player. But it didn't work out. So he goes to the New Orleans Saints. And then Sean Payton starts getting a little creative. Okay, you have Drew Brees back there, a legendary quarterback in the National Football League. So you're not going to bench Drew Brees. Okay, you're just not going to do that. You're not going to say, "Hey Taysom, it's your time to shine." So what does he do? Let's have some wildcat. Okay, let's get this guy out here. Let's get him razzle-dazzled down the field. Where we used to play that game in gym all the time, or even on recess and stuff, where basically, you have the ball and you could throw it forward, you could throw it backwards, you could do whatever you wanted all the way down the field. That's what it felt like they were doing with Taysom Hill. Okay, Taysom Hill was that guy where he's a tight end. He's a receiver. He's fast as shit. He's athletic. He can throw the ball. He can do literally everything and anything that you want him to do. So that's what the Saints utilized him as. They utilized him as a wildcat type of, I wouldn't even say quarterback, but just like the star wildcat, player, if you will. So he'd go out there, he'd take snaps at the quarterback position, he'd scramble one way, he'd run for 10, 15 yards, he'd maybe scramble out the other way or sit back in the pocket and dish it over the middle or go long or whatever it was, whatever the case was. Or, obviously, he'd get the ball and he'd pitch it away, or they just did a whole bunch of stuff with Taysom Hill. And then, obviously, last year it was a quarterback battle. Who's going to be the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints? Is it going to be Jameis Winston, who, had a year under Drew Brees, learned the playbook, learned what Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints organization is all about, built that culture? Or is it going to be Taysom Hill, a guy who just signed a 4-year, $160 million, all-voidable contract? It was really up in the air. Are we really going to have a quarterback battle? A lot of people are like, yeah, this is going to be a good battle. Who knows? We got to see what Taysom Hill has in the tank, because this guy has an arm. He's very athletic. He knows the playbook. He's been there for forever, basically. Jameis is just coming in. Yeah, he has 1 year under Drew Brees under his belt at the point. He knows the playbook somewhat. So, a lot of people were kind of questioning who was going to be the quarterback. But at the same time, I think there was the other side, or the other part of people that said, yeah, no, Jameis is definitely the dude. Okay, number 2 overall draft pick, or might have been number 1 or 2 overall draft pick. Can't remember. Him and Marcus Mariota were number 1 and number 2 in their draft class. But Jameis Winston was always the clear-cut quarterback. Okay, he was always the clear-cut starter for the Saints once Drew Brees decided to leave. So Jameis Winston comes up, he steps in nicely, leads them to a 5-3 start, gets injured, his rest of the season is done. So then they roll with Taysom Hill. He had a rocky couple games. He was not that good at all on the football field. The Saints actually started to lose more ball games. It started to look like this franchise was kind of deteriorating right before our eyes, but at the same time, they still had that defense to kind of back it up. Yeah, our offense may not be that great. Our defense, on the other hand, hey, we only need to put up 14, 21 points a game, maybe even 17 points a game, as long as our defense is, consistently showing up, consistently making the opposing offense work for it, and not letting them score and stuff like that. So the defense was a phenomenal piece for the Saints last year, but Taysom Hill, he had a rocky start. Then he gets injured. Ian Book has to step in. He looked pretty atrocious, okay? You're not going to let Ian Book go out there to start for your franchise. There's no way in hell. So this offseason, especially after Sean Payton decided to retire, who knows if he's ever going to come back in the NFL or the National Football League. There's rumors of him potentially being a broadcaster for one of the big name networks, a.k.a. Fox or ESPN or CBS, one of the three. But with the new coaching change, I think, and the coaching change really wasn't that big, okay? Because Dennis Allen, I believe is his name, he ends up getting the job. And he was the interim head coach for the Saints back when Sean Payton got a whole year of suspension because he had the whole bounty gate when, they won the Super Bowl. Should have been our Super Bowl. But, what are you going to do? You ain't going to do nothing except for hate the Saints for the rest of your life. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on that whole situation. So with the new regime, okay, I think their number one priority, obviously, I think a lot of teams, maybe every team's priority, their number one priority, who do we have at quarterback? Who is touching the ball every single offensive snap? Because if we don't have a good quarterback, if we don't have a great quarterback, we're screwed. Okay, we're going to have a rough go of it. We're going to have a really, really, really tough season. So the Saints go into that, and they're like, okay, we have the opportunity to get Deshaun Watson. Let's see what happens with that whole situation. Let's see if we can get Deshaun Watson, and if we can, fan-fucking-tastic, okay? We got Michael Thomas. He's going to be back this season. Marquez Callaway. I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum, basically. But Jameis Winston, after the Deshaun Watson situation kind of got figured out, he goes to the Cleveland Browns. Jameis Winston was the clear-cut, yeah, we need to bring this guy back to our organization. He already knows the playbook. He already knows the culture. He knows the locker room. He knows how to, win ball games. So then after they signed Jameis Winston, the next step was, okay, well, do we still keep Taysom Hill as our number 2 guy? Or do we bring in a veteran? Do we bring in another free agent? Do we go draft a rookie in this draft class? What do we do? We got to figure out our backup quarterback position. Just in case Jameis gets hurt, or just in case Jameis just sucks. Okay, we got to figure that out. All right. So they go out there and they're searching. They're trying to figure out what the hell they're gonna do. And well, bam, Andy Dalton gets signed to a 1-year, $6 million deal. And for Taysom, as Coach Dennis Allen, I believe is his name, said, hey, he's gonna be solely focusing on tight end. Doesn't mean he's going to be their starting tight end. I think you're going to expect a similar role to what he played just a couple of years ago when Drew Brees was the Saints quarterback. I think we're going to see a lot more, kind of magical moments happening from him, or like just crazy, exciting things that are going to happen on a Taysom Hill on a game basis, or a daily basis, you could say, for him. So Andy Dalton signs with the Saints to be their backup quarterback. It is a very average deal. It is a backup deal. So congratulations for Andy Dalton and fucking, re-getting his money, or getting another chance back, basically, to, be a quarterback in the National Football League. I knew he was going to get a job, just didn't know it was going to be the New Orleans Saints or what organization that would have been. I mean, Carolina still needs a quarterback. Seattle, they might need a quarterback. It depends on if they want to truly roll with Drew Lock or not. I mean, I wouldn't, but that's their own problem to deal with. But there's still plenty of teams out there who could use some extra firepower. And the Saints, they got theirs in Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, Taysom Hill, now taking his focus to the tight end position. Cam Newton, also in the news as of recent, he has been said to be drawing some interest from teams. Now, what does this mean? Well, I'm really unsure at this point. But according to Adam Schefter, who actually received multiple text messages from Cam Newton, went on Twitter and said, hey, free agent quarterback Cam Newton is drawing interest, but also is remaining patient. Okay, he's going to be patient. I have teams that are interested in signing me, Newton texted. I am waiting on the best fit as it pertains to winning a championship and getting a fair chance to play. All right, buddy. Was it 2 years ago, Cam Newton became a free agent. Okay, his career in Carolina kind of came to an end. What was the next step? Well, the greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick, decided, you know what, let's take a chance on Cam Newton. I know his play style. I know how hard he works. I know what kind of a leader he is, what kind of a locker room, guy he is. I think this would be a good fit for our organization. So he goes to New England. Well, let's just say he had more rushing touchdowns than he had passing touchdowns. I think he had 10 rushing and 9 passing touchdowns. Not a great season. Oh, and on top of that, they finished 7-9. Not the same Cam Newton we're kind of used to seeing when he was in Carolina, right? Went on that MVP run, went to a Super Bowl. The dude was an absolute freak of nature. I mean, 6'5" or whatever it is, 250 pounds it seems like. I mean, the dude's built like a linebacker, built like a pass rusher at the quarterback position. He's a freak. So he goes to New England, doesn't have that great of a season. Well, what does New England do? Well, in the draft, they go out and they select Mac Jones, quarterback from Alabama. Who would have thought, that this guy would have been the perfect fit for New England? Well, Bill Belichick thought that. So after they drafted Mac Jones, the next question was, all right, are we going to have a quarterback battle in New England? Because if so, Cam Newton's probably going to win that job, but Mac Jones is going to give him run for his money. And a week or two went by, and well, the New England Patriots decided to cut Cam Newton. Cam Newton is now out of the building. They don't want a quarterback battle because Bill Belichick, I think he said basically that we don't need any distractions. And, Cam Newton was our starter last season, and bringing in a rookie quarterback, we don't want to have to put him through that. We don't have to give him, say, hey, this rookie is going to give you a run for your money when you've been in the league for however many years. You've been to a Super Bowl. You've done all that. Okay, we don't want any of that noise, any of that distractions. We're going to let him go so that he has an opportunity to go play elsewhere to try to, rejuvenate his career. So what happens then? A couple weeks go by, I believe, in the season, and Sam Darnold wasn't cutting it for the Carolina Panthers. Okay, he wasn't. I mean, you get what you get with Sam Darnold. Okay, I think we know by now who Sam Darnold is as a quarterback. So Cam Newton goes down to Carolina. Well, when he went to Carolina, or when he ended his first tenure in Carolina, he had lost 11 straight ball games. Well, it only continued to get worse. Loss after loss after loss. I think he ended his career with the Carolina Panthers before, hitting the free agency market like 0-14 or something like that in his last 14 starts with the Carolina Panthers. All right. Well, what are you going to do now, Cam? You're waiting for the best fit as it pertains to winning a championship and getting a fair chance to play. Well, the teams that are currently championship ready, the Rams, the Buccaneers, the Chiefs, let's think about this a little bit. Maybe the Packers, the Cowboys. There's multiple teams out there. Basically, over half the league is ready to win a championship. The Chargers, the Raiders, Denver, especially with Russell Wilson. I think that whole offense is different. I think that team's different. Miami, I mean, they've been boosting their products. You really think you're going to go get a fair chance to play at one of these organizations and have a chance at winning a Super Bowl? Sorry, you're not going to. It's just not going to happen. Okay, plain and simple. I just don't believe that Cam Newton is going to step into another NFL organization and have another MVP type of season. I think his time was there, and it's definitely not now. Okay, we've seen what we've seen out of Cam Newton. The injuries have plagued him. He's too big for his own good, basically. Okay, I mean, don't get me wrong. The man is still super athletic, a freak show. I mean, he's what you'd want. As a National Football League player or a football player in general. That is who you would want. But due to the injuries, it's just not going to work, I don't think. And if he does get another chance, which I hope he does, I hope he gets a chance over Colin Kaepernick, and that's just my 2 cents. Mainly because Kaepernick hasn't been in the NFL for 7 fucking years, so get over it, dude. You're done, all right? But Cam Newton, the only way he's going to get a chance in the National Football League is if he goes to a team and is willing to be the backup. And if, certain events fall in place, maybe he can become the starter at some point during the season. I don't know. And I'm not sure what team that would be. But if he wants a championship ring, he's going to have to look himself in the mirror in his own eyes and say, we might have to be a backup this year. if we want a Super Bowl ring. That's what I look at it as. Just because I don't think I don't think he's capable of winning a Super Bowl. Yeah, he's hardworking. He's the first one in the building, last one out of the building. He's a locker room guy. He knows how to lead, the rest of the players and the rest of the team. But I just don't think he has what it takes to win the big game anymore. And I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong. I mean, we see Nick Foles come out of nowhere and win that Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles. There's multiple situations where that has happened in the past. But at this point in time, if he wants to win a championship, and if he wants a fair chance at playing, the only fair chance at playing and winning a championship he's going to get is taking a back row seat. Plain and simple. That is what I believe. And I think that's the only way he has the best opportunity to get another championship or get a championship. So Cam, good luck. I mean, you definitely could earn your starting role. It would just have to be with an organization that just isn't that good. You can go down to Houston, probably be day one starter. Okay, but you're not winning the championship with the Houston Texans. Just not going to happen. You go to the Giants, bet your ass Daniel Jones probably gets the starting role. Sorry about it. Go to the Jets. You have a chance there at beating Zach Wilson out, but I think the Jets are kind of sold on the fact that, hey, he's already started the year. Let's continue to, mold him and grow him into the quarterback that we see him being in the future. So Cam, good luck out there, man. I know you're gaining interest, and there are teams out there that need quarterbacks. You could end up back on the Carolina Panthers, which that would be, a great way to end your career after the season, basically, because you might have a lot of football left in you. You might. But you don't have great football left in you. It's how it goes sometimes. Father Time is undefeated. And, with how many injuries you have suffered over the past couple of years, he's a fucking knocking, okay? Time's almost up. So, good luck the rest of the way, Cam. And, hey, we'll see if you're on an NFL squad someday. We'll see what happens in the next couple of months. Jimmy G, there's been some news on him and his future and what his future might possibly be. Is at the start of the offseason, a lot of speculation was surrounding Jimmy G that, hey, he might get traded. I think the 49ers are sold that Trey Lance is going to be their franchise quarterback going forward. Jimmy G's time is up. He went to a Super Bowl. He couldn't win it. Okay, then he has another NFC championship matchup. He couldn't win it. He couldn't go to the Super Bowl. He's not a great passing quarterback. He's the guy that's going to go and kind of take a back row seat, like I just mentioned with Cam Newton, and hand the ball off. Give it to his running backs. Establish the running game. And then, really kind of slice and dice people, if you will. When you got George Kittle and you got Deebo Samuel doing a bunch of jet sweeps and all the craziness he's been doing. So the 49ers were said to... We're going to be parting ways with Jimmy Garappolo. And Jimmy Garappolo, actually on a press conference, the end of the year press conference, went out and said, hey, thank you for the time here, San Fran. I've enjoyed it. I've, cherished these memories and always will and blah, 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 and all this, blah, blah, blah. So he basically said his farewells, okay? He said, all right, I'm out of here. See you later. Thanks for the opportunity. And they're going to roll Trey Lance. But Jimmy G also needed shoulder surgery this offseason on his throwing shoulder. And with multiple teams needing a quarterback or needing to fill their quarterback position, they were obviously going to look at Jimmy G as one of the couple quarterbacks that were going to be available, right? I mean, Russell Wilson gets traded to the Denver Broncos. Aaron Rodgers stays with the Green Bay Packers. So Carolina needs a quarterback. The Saints need a quarterback. The Falcons need a quarterback. The Seahawks need a quarterback. Miami was possibly, but they've said from the start, hey, Tua's our guy. We're going to roll with Tua until he proves otherwise. So Jimmy G was a real prospect on a lot of teams' radar. Okay? And because of that shoulder surgery, it's delayed some of that process. It's caused teams like the New Orleans Saints to say, we're not going to go pick up Jimmy G. We're going to go re-sign Jameis Winston. It made the Browns say, yeah, we're gonna give Deshaun Watson a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed contract, They made the Colts say, Jimmy, you're great at handing the ball off, but, that guy down in Atlanta, Matt Ryan, he looks way better. So they trade for Matt Ryan instead of trading for Jimmy G. It made the Seattle Seahawks, trade Russell to Denver and somehow get Drew Lock out of the deal. They could still potentially be in the Jimmy G sweepstakes if they will. So the Jimmy G kind of sweepstakes or carousel is kind of it's starting to come to an end, and the ride's going, it's fucking, doing its loops, it's going and going, and once it starts to end, it starts slowly going until it comes to a complete stop. And that complete stop might be coming very, very soon. Whether that's being traded or being back with the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan, who was at the NFC coaches breakfast, says that he sees a scenario where Jimmy Garappolo is on the roster in 2022 and acknowledges that the surgery delayed trade talks. As for if both Trey Lance and Jimmy G are on the roster, Shanahan declines to name a starter. So, with the trade talks kind of teetering out, or whatever you want to say, however you want to talk. Yeah, whatever. Fucking brain's just going all over the place. But with trade talks kind of dying down and not happening anymore, Jimmy G on the 49ers is a real thing to kind of keep in your mind. Even though the 49ers have said time and time again, or not really time and time again, but multiple times, Trey Lance is going to be our guy. Okay, we drafted him for a reason. We've seen what he has to give us on the football field. He's had to go in there for an injured Jimmy Garappolo. But we're not going to name a starter at this point. We're not going to say who the starter is. And if I were to guess, I'd probably guess Trey Lance still stays the starter. And I think the 49ers find a way to either A, trade Jimmy Garappolo or cut him loose. Some team will pick him up. Somebody will grab Jimmy Garappolo if he is released. But there is a scenario, and I guarantee you it probably has to do in a restructure of his contract, where he still stays a 49er. Probably has to take a pay cut. Okay, he just gets injured way too much. He has feet problem, shoulder problem, all of the above. It's kind of like the Cam Newton situation. The injuries plague people, plague athletes. And once you get one, it's kind of like the domino effect. It kind of just keeps going. Okay, one after another. It just keeps going. Especially at the quarterback position, especially when you're getting hit by, the guy that Urban Meyer forgot or didn't know who the hell it was, Aaron Donald. Okay, on a regular basis. Shit like that. I mean, Jimmy Garappolo has been taking hits from Aaron Donald 2 times a year for the past 3-4 years at this point. So, I mean, he's probably pretty sore, pretty banged up. So, Jimmy Garappolo, we don't know his, the full extent of his situation, other than, hey, he's going to be traded at some point, maybe. Otherwise, he's probably going to be a 49er for at least the next upcoming season. So that situation will still get figured out. Who knows at this point in time what that, kind of all entails. But just expect Jimmy G situation to kind of take a little longer than expected. I think if we're going to hear Jimmy Garappolo going anywhere or getting released or staying a 49er, it will be after this year's draft, which is in April. So, enough on the quarterback situation. We can talk about, Andy Dalton, Cam Newton, Jimmy G. Let's get to the real story, all right? The overtime rules. So not too long ago, obviously, the Colts and the Eagles proposed a rule change to the overtime quarter, basically, stating that, hey, in overtime, I think each team should have a possession, at least one chance to score the ball, okay, score a touchdown, okay, and if both teams score, the next score after that wins. We just think each team should have the opportunity to step on the field. And then the Titans came sprinting in. They're like, hey, hold on a second. We want the same thing. But if the first team goes down and scores a touchdown, and they also complete a 2-point conversion, the game's over. Okay, game, set, match, basically. So 3 teams have come in with a proposal, and the next step was, well, we got to send this to the owners. Let's vote on this. Let's see what the real situation or what the real rule change will be. Let's see if this is an actual thing, because the overtime rules currently are, okay, the first team, if you win the coin toss, you collect or receive, you score a touchdown, it's game over. If you get the ball and you go down all the way down the field, kick a field goal, the other team gets the same opportunity to, well, either tie it, which is kick a field goal, or score a touchdown, and in which case the game is then over with. Well, the overtime rules have been changed, but only in postseason. So the Colts and Eagles, their proposal of, hey, each team gets possession, and if they tie at the end of those possessions, then we go into basically a sudden death where the next point wins or the next score wins. And that has been approved by the NFL owners. Now, but take in mind, this ain't regular season. The overtime rule has only been changed for the postseason. So, this will ensure that each team or each offense gets a possession. Only in the postseason. In the regular season, the rules stay the same. If you score a touchdown on your first drive, game, set, match. If you score a field goal, the other team has a chance to come out and either tie it or win the game. Okay, those rules are still the same. Overtime rules say, well, or postseason rules say, in overtime, each offense gets a chance to get the ball and score. This was actually passed by a long shot, okay? If you don't remember, 24 votes were needed to pass this. The vote was passed 29-3. 29-3. 3 NFL teams, that being the Cincinnati Bengals, who, I mean, they weren't really affected by it because their defense actually stopped the Kansas City Chiefs, and then their offense got a chance to step on the field, and then they go out, they win the ball game, they're on to the Super Bowl. The Miami Dolphins also voted against it. Not really sure why they did that. And also, the fucking Minnesota Vikings. Okay? And I don't know if that has to do with, we can never find a fucking kicker that's worth a damn. He only makes, 50% of his field goal kicks every time we get one. And when we get one and he misses the first 2, we send him away, a.k.a. Daniel Carlson, goes to the Raiders, and he's just a fucking legend over there now. Don't know why we decided not to vote or vote against it. But it is said to be that this rule, they obviously proposed this rule for both regular season and postseason. And it really didn't pick up steam until NFL owners suggested, hey, how about we just do postseason only? And then it really started picking up steam. And, well, basically 29 of the 32 teams said, sure, we'll do that. Because if you don't know, this is kind of interesting. Some data behind changing overtime rules via competition committee chairman Rich McKay. Since 2010, there have been 12 postseason games that went into overtime. The team with the ball first has won 10 of those games. And 7 of those wins came after a touchdown on the first possession. So basically, you win the coin toss, you win the game. That is what was happening, okay? In a massive, massive way. They're trying to take that away. Because I think I've seen another stat where overtime rules, the ones that we've always had, or for at least quite some time now, where first possession, or since I think the 2010 season we've had this rule, where, you score a touchdown, game over. The team who wins the coin toss is 86, 64, and 1, I believe, or something along those lines, or whatnot. So basically, if you win the coin toss, you're going to win the game more times than you won't. So they wanted to kind of change it up. Regular season's going to stay the same, but postseason's going to be a little different. AKA, Josh Allen now would have had that chance to step on the field and try to give his team an opportunity to march all the way down the field and, tie the Chiefs and then go to the next score wins. Most people won't like this rule, obviously. Some people will. And, the people that won't like this rule are going to be, they're going to be saying, well, your defense, stop them, okay? Don't allow them to score that first touchdown in the first possession. Be better. Be a better defense. Figure it out. Hold them to a field goal. They still have to go the length of the field. In college, you start on the 25-yard line going towards the end zone, basically, so you have 25 yards until you hit the end zone. In that situation, it's a whole lot different. But in the National Football League, you have to literally go 70-plus yards, basically, to score a touchdown. If you can't stop them, that's on you. You lost that game fair and square. So I get that side of, the decision or I get that side of things. The other side that's like, oh yeah, I like this. Because, we get to see these marquee quarterbacks, a.k.a. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford, these big-name quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and all those. If their team goes out there, their defense can't stop the opposing offense, well, now they get a chance to come out and really just show their shit or strut their shit, basically. Like, oh yeah, you think you're good? We're good too. And then do their thing, and then the next score kind of goes in the tie. So I understand both sides of this. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if it was time for a change, but after, obviously the Bills fans, screaming and bitching and moaning, oh, Josh Allen should have got a chance to step on the field. Movement for it picked up massively, and it got approved 29-3. Those three teams again: Bengals, Dolphins, Vikings. So it didn't really matter. But there was some other rules that were kind of tweaked or kind of changed during this, NFL owners, coaches meeting or whatever it is. I'm not really sure what it's called off the top of my head. So we talked about the overtime. By competition committee makes permanent the free kick formation change implemented during last year's season that established a maximum number of players in the setup zone. So basically what this means, I think you need at least 8 players. Yeah, I think it's you need at least 8 or 10 players or 9 players or something like that within 25 to 30 yards, I think, from the kicker. So it makes it so the collisions are less brutal. Okay, you can't get a running start. You can't do this. You can't do that. You have to be within this kind of this box, if you will, so that we don't have these massive injuries. Torn ACL, kids, they're breaking their necks, or concussions later on in life, CTE, and all these very gruesome, not fun to have injuries. And that's what was changed last year. I think we've seen a difference in, less return touchdowns. It's more of a punt kind of style of a kick return where kind of just straight up. It's a lot harder to kind of, get your blocks and have a whole wall shift to one side, and then you kind of run behind them, and, you're loose. Where now it's this, now at this point now it's kind of all right, pick and choose. Which way do you want to go? Find the hole. Have great ball carrier vision. Have speed. Be elusive. Be ready to rock and roll. That's kind of what it is. I like it. I do like the fact that I don't like the fact that we're going to see less return touchdowns. But when we do see them, that's going to make it that much more exciting for fans around the world. Another change, I guess that was kind of it is changed. Baltimore, Buffalo, Philadelphia, and Tampa Bay amends the anti-tampering policy in regard to secondary football executive positions to allow the employer club the choice to retain its player personnel staff through the annual selection meeting. After the selection meeting through June 30th, the employer club is required to grant permission for another club to interview and hire a non-high level executive or non-secondary football executive for a secondary football position. So in years past, and still I think, no, not this year, before the draft even happens, you'd have other teams plucking somebody away or plucking a scout away from a certain team or plucking this guy away from a certain team before the draft. And that kind of really caused some chaos, some fuckery around all these organizations. Like, it's like, okay, you just took my scout that was scouting a couple players. Now I got to figure out what the hell he was scouting and what he thought about those players and if I should take him or if I shouldn't take him, or, oh, you took my, whatever it is. Because you can't take offensive coordinator, you can't take defensive coordinator. It's just these scouts, these regional scouts and athletic trainers and stuff like that they were plucking away. Now you can't do that. Now you have to wait until after the draft, which is a fantastic rule to kind of take. If you want somebody's scout or if you want all this, you gotta wait till the draft is over and done with to pluck it. So those are the rule changes. Overtime, the kickoff zone, which was changed last year, they're going to keep that rule. And then obviously being able to pluck staff members before the draft, that is no longer. You have to wait till after the draft. Now, taunting is still a real thing. It is a real thing. It was a point of emphasis last season. I thought it was bullshit. Okay, let these people celebrate. It brings excitement to the game. There's times when it's egregious and it shouldn't be happening, and those are the times where then you can call the penalty. When something should be called and something shouldn't be called. I honestly believe that. It's not that hard to figure out what should be done and what shouldn't. But apparently the NFL competition committees, they discussed sportsmanship and the taunting penalties called from last season. They believe only 4 taunting penalties were wrong. I believe a lot more were wrong. Okay? Just how I think. You're celebrating, you're bringing energy, you're getting momentum on your side, you're having fun, you're playing the sport that you've played since you were just a little kid, since you love that sport so much, and that's all you know is football, football, football. When you make a good play and you're in the National Football League, a professional athlete, you're going to have some fun times. You're going to have some emotions, some big emotions. And to only think 4 of those were wrong, I think is kind of blasphemy. It's kind of stupid. But the NFL Commission or Competition Committee also discussed missed taunting calls, like the Tyreek Hill peace sign. Okay, after his touchdown in the Bills playoff game, they thought that was a missed call. That should have been taunting. I say, fuck it. Game winner, I believe it was. So he has the right to do it. Okay, Bills defense couldn't stop them. He said, peace out, see you later. We're going to the AFC Championship game. Taunting is ridiculous. I think there's a difference between sportsmanship and taunting. And like I've mentioned, when it should be called a penalty and what you should let slide by. Okay, there's things that are way off the, way, on the other side of, not too good. Okay, you shouldn't be doing that. And there's other things that you're like, okay, that was kind of funny. I like that. It brings gamesmanship, basically. So taunting's still going to be a real thing. We're going to have to deal with it, and hopefully it doesn't get worse, and I believe it's going to get worse before it gets better. But let's hope not, right? Another news, the New England Patriots, don't know why I couldn't think of their name for a second. The New England Patriots have signed safety Jabril Peppers after bringing him in for a visit, I believe, just a day ago or 2 days ago or whatever the case. He was formerly a New York Giant, should have been a Cleveland Brown back in the day, but they didn't decide to take him. Or I believe he was a Cleveland Brown. He was a Cleveland Brown, then he went to the Giants, okay, and he wasn't doing so good. He tore his ACL last season. He was in for a visit with New England, and they lock up a cheap safety where they signed Jabril Peppers for a 1-year, $5 million deal. So good for them. The Baltimore Ravens have been in the news. And some good stuff. And some kind of what stuff going on right now. Well, the Ravens have decided to extend head coach John Harbaugh for 3 more years. So he'll be with the Ravens through 2025. He is currently, he's going to be entering or is in his 15th season as a head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. He is the third longest tenure active coach in the National Football League. I think Bill Belichick is obviously number one. Pete Carroll might be number two. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I'll have to check my facts. But he gets extended for 3 years. But there's a guy on their roster that hasn't been extended yet and should be. Lamar Jackson, in which they were said to be, working on a contract extension. Oh, we'll get it done. Don't worry about it. It'll get done. When? Because Patrick Mahomes, he got paid. Okay. Josh Allen, he got paid. Deshaun Watson, he got paid. 5 years, $230 million, fully guaranteed contract. And now you're going to extend the head coach, which I understand. You have to do that. But you're going to take your time on me, huh? You're really going to take your sweet-ass time in extending me. I'm your franchise quarterback. The things I have done here, most quarterbacks would wish to do. Okay? We need to get this done. I've been to playoffs. Yeah, you haven't won. It's this is business. Okay? This is a business. And it's a business where what have you done for me lately, not what have you done for me in the past. Okay? What have you done for me in the last, year or two? Well, their general manager had some interesting things to say. Ravens owner, not their general manager, their owner, Steve Biscotti, said to reporters on Deshaun Watson getting $230 million fully guaranteed. He says, man, I don't know that he should have been the first guy to get a fully guaranteed contract. He wasn't. Dude. Kirk Cousins was. He's got multiple fully guaranteed contracts. To me, that's something that is groundbreaking, and it'll make negotiations harder with others. That last piece right there, it'll make negotiations harder with others. Who could he be talking about? Oh, yeah, his quarterback, Lamar Jackson. I don't think he wants to pay Lamar. Because Lamar, after seeing that Deshaun Watson contract, has said, pay me that money. Give me that money. I want a fully guaranteed contract, and I want it now. You know that commercial? It's my money, and I want it now. Something like that. Okay? Their owner, first of all, didn't know that there was already a fully guaranteed contract in the NFL. Actually, multiple. Kirk Cousins. And then he goes on to say, it's going to make negotiating harder with others, which he definitely means his quarterback, Lamar Jackson. It's going to be hard to negotiate with Lamar when, pretend I'm the owner, okay? Lamar is somewhere over here. Here's a contract for you. 3 years, $75 million. What do you think of that, huh? What do you think of that? I'll give you about $50 million guaranteed, huh? Lamar would be like, no, ain't doing it. You're going to give me 3 years, $150 million, fully guaranteed, or you're going to give me 5 years, $230 million, or $240 million, or $250 million fully guaranteed. How do you like them apples? And if you don't, we'll go find a new team. How about that? Pay him his money. Okay? He's more than worth it. You have a franchise quarterback. Don't make it that much harder on your organization to have to go find another one. Okay? It's just, geez Louise. There's still no progress made on the Lamar Jackson deal. No progress at all. And now with the Deshaun Watson situation, with that negotiation, the fully guaranteed contract, it is going to make things hard. Okay? It is what it is. Every time there's a new highest paid quarterback, the next contract that usually gets signed becomes the next highest paid quarterback. And it just keeps going, just keeps climbing up the ladder, it just keeps going. So I think their owner needs to do a little bit of, research and has to refine his negotiating skills. Because if he doesn't, Lamar's going to get a big payday, okay? A big payday. So that is all I have for you guys today on the show. Thank you so much for watching and joining and doing whatever you guys are doing while you're watching the show. It's a great time. I love doing this, and I can only wait to see what the future holds for me and the show. Have a great rest of your day. Okay, it's kind of windy outside, kind of cloudy, gonna rain, possibly snow. Snowstorms possibly on its way, so we'll see how that goes. But enjoy the rest of your night. I'm going to go watch the Minnesota Wild and hopefully kick the crap out of the Philadelphia Flyers, because that'll be awesome to see and witness. But have a great rest of your day, like I mentioned. If you're on Facebook, hit the like, hit the share. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe. Be much, much appreciated. Have a great one, folks. And you just got your fix with the Wicks. Deuces.